Urban Odyssey, a bicentennial project of the D.C. Community Humanities Council.
Isaac Franck and his quest for community and social justice are presented in this segment of the D.C. Community Humanities Council's Urban Odyssey series.
Well, while we're on the subject of how some Jews happen to end up here in Washington, let me tell you a little bit about my own Odyssey. But first, a little joke. My name, by the way, Yitzhak in Hebrew, means he will laugh. And in the social change business, laughter is essential, believe me. Back around 1984, I was walking down Connecticut Avenue, and I bumped into an old friend. Isaac, how are you? Isaac, so good to see you. You look wonderful, just wonderful. Aaron, I said. There are 3 ages of man. There's youth, there's middle age, and there's you look wonderful. Well, back before I got to looking so wonderful, I was a very young boy back in 1910, living in a very harsh land. That Russian ghetto I had mentioned earlier called Zazov. We lived there until I was 8 years old, when my brave mother insisted that we flee to Romania out of fear for our lives. In Romania, we earned enough money to sail to New York, and that was 1923. I knew 3 words of English then: boy, girl, and door. I brought with me 2 valuable commodities. One, given to me by my Baba, my grandmother, a simple Orthodox woman who lived all but the last few years in that small ghetto village. She'd always say to me, Isaac, when the Christian New Year comes around, be sure to wish the Christian a good New Year. A childhood lesson in interfaith relations. Perhaps that's how I would become a Jewish community relations professional, but what a strange concept that would have been to my Baba. The Holocaust, of course, colored everything for all time. The Jewish Community Council was born in 1938 out of an emergency meeting on the needs of German Jewish refugees fleeing Hitler and arriving here in the district. Our Bible commands us, Kol Yisrael Arevim Tze. All of Israel is responsible for the other. In 1948, the year before I arrived in Washington, the State of Israel was born. No other event so thoroughly reshaped the way we Jews saw ourselves and the world around us. It brought a new dignity and spiritual renewal to us all. A renewal of creativity and learning, religious thought, literature, music, art, science, social idealism. My job was to help the Jewish Community Council become a structure where area Jews could hammer out their differences, debate Jewish teaching and philosophy, and arrive at a consensus on the major issues of the day. Some things we preferred to settle privately, and larger issues like civil rights, we recognized early the necessity to make headlines. These were our issues: Jewish education, civil rights and desegregation, resolution of Jewish community disputes, church-state relations, Israel, anti-Semitism, and Soviet Jewry. I grabbed every opportunity to teach. There were so many dinners and speeches, university lectures, celebrations and demonstrations. I even had a TV show every Sunday morning for 15 years, the Jewish Community Hour. It is 1963. I am addressing the Delegate Assembly of the Jewish Community Council. It is time for us to endorse and join the growing militancy of the civil rights movement. I said to them, Negro Americans are properly impatient and no longer willing to accept second-class citizenship or the tiny crumbs of gradualism and tokenism. There was some opposition. Oh, there always was, and there always will be. But there was overwhelming endorsement. Throughout the struggle of justice of the 60s, few white Washingtonians assumed so high a profile as men like Aaron Goldman, Albert Arendt, Seymour Wolfe, and Richard Lyon, all officers of the council. Later, there'd be some opposition from our young radicals. Some of them invaded our meetings and threw bags of old clothes on the table, yelling, "Schmattes for die Schwarze," rags for the black. They pushed us, and it was good they did. In 1963, we also invited Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to address the Jews at the Adass Israel Synagogue. We organized DC Jews for the famous August 63 March on Washington, where Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. I have never heard such a speech. I hear it still. It was every bit as much a local undertaking as it was a national one. We provided the food, the marshals, the housing. It was a massive undertaking, setting the stage for dozens more peaceful national demonstrations in our hometown, the nation's capital.